Thank you so much. When I first come to this country in 1849, I saw many fair lovers, but I never saw mine. I viewed all around me, so that I was quite alone, and me a poor stranger and a long ways from home. Well, it's not this long journey I'm dreading for to go, nor the country that I'm leaving, nor the debts that I owe. There's only one thing that troubles my mind, and that's leaving my darling, pretty Cyril behind. Fare thee well to old mother, fare thee well to father too. I'm a-going for to ramble this wide world all through, and when I get weary, I'll sit down and cry, and I'll think of my darling, pretty Cyril, my bride. Well, I wish I was a turtle dove, had wings and could fly right now to my lover's lodgings. Tonight I draw nigh, and there in her little white arms I'd lie there all night and watch them little windows for the coming of a day. And that's a song that I learned some years ago. It's called Pretty Cyril. I learned it from Sheila K. Adams, who's from Western North Carolina. She comes from a long line of ballad singers. And there's something that's so contemporary about that song. It's obviously about, talking 1840s, probably Irish immigrants, who knows? So many people came here, run out of their own countries for various different reasons, religious reasons, commercial reasons, intolerance of all sorts. But what it reminds me of is that some stories never change, and that people have been traveling, and that people have been affecting change and being affected since the dawn of time. We have our own particular relationship with it here in the United States. Some people came here voluntarily, some involuntarily, some people were already here. And how those groups of people met, mixed, and mingled is where we get this American dream, which is a nightmare for some. So I just wanted to, I hadn't planned on doing that, but it wanted to be sung, which happens sometimes with me, because I think it's really good to start this entire thought with recognizing the position of privilege that we have, that we all have sitting here in this room or watching the stream. Everyone here has privilege. We have different degrees of privilege, but when you think about what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on in different parts of Africa, what's going on in different parts of the world, it puts things in a perspective that I think it's really important to begin with, to begin everything with, right? Because it makes that morning coffee taste different. It makes that trip to the bathroom feel different. It makes that walk down the hall to your class where all you have to do is sit there and learn different. I try to explain that to my children, and they're like, oh, I don't want to go to school. My daughter says, oh, I don't want to go to school. And I'm like, okay, would you rather wash dishes all day? Walk 2 miles to get water? Like not be able to go outside? I mean, you can pick one of those. I would be sad, And I know she doesn't quite, she doesn't say anything because she knows where I'm going to go. And I know she doesn't quite get it, but I'm just trying to give that idea of education is a privilege, and it should be a right, and it should be a right that everyone has. And so when I think about what it means to be an artist, what it means to be an artist getting an education, what do you do with your artistry? It starts from that position of privilege, because with privilege comes responsibility. Because who's going to give up their privilege? Ain't nobody. I'm not giving up mine, unless I have to, unless somebody takes it from me, and it happens to people all over the world. So it really puts everything in a different perspective. I have to go do this turns into I get to do this, right? I have to spend all this time turns into I have all of this time to spend, not doing all the basic things that the machines that we've invented do for us, or, the place that I'm at, or whatever, right? Or my parents do for me, or whatever, right? So I just wanted to start there, thinking about how we can frame our lives, how we think about those things that we complain about, the idea of, oh, this seat is so small in this airplane that's going through the sky so that I can go somewhere else, and then all of a sudden, it's a little tight, I can make it, I can do it. So I wanted to kind of outline 3 different kind of thoughts about being an artist. What is the responsibility we have to ourselves, to the process that we have as artists, because that's a thing, right? And then to the community at large. And, Dr. Martin Luther King was an amazing speaker, and he was an amazing thinker. And a lot of times he's reduced to quotes, as he will be this evening, because I have a few quotes from him. But he was far more than quotes, and he was far more than the I Have a Dream speech. And the thing that people forget is that when he was assassinated, it was because he was talking about bringing people together, right, across the race line, because everybody had nothing, right? He was looking at poverty. He was looking at the working poor. He was looking at sanitation workers. That's what he was doing, and that was the scary thing. It's always when we come together that the folks who are in power, who want to keep us apart, get scared, because when we come together, we have power. And what the arts do is bring people together. But it only does that if we acknowledge the responsibility we have as artists. So I love something that he said about education, about the self, which is, he said, I come to the conclusion that there is an existential moment in your life when you must decide to speak for yourself. Nobody else can speak for you. And that is self-realization. And that is, I think, one of the first journeys that every artist has to go on. And what I can do, all I can do is talk about my experience, right? I can't talk about your experience. All I can do is illuminate or try to talk about my journey and what it taught me, and then maybe there's a nugget in there, because that's what I've gotten from so many other people's journeys. I hear about how they got somewhere, and I'm like, that's a really good idea. So when I think about my journey to speaking for myself, which is where I started and where I ended, with the realization that I had to make my own music career happen, right? It had to start with my intention, and the intensity of my intention. I grew up with music around me, and I feel very fortunate in that, because it was not a means to an end. It was just my universe. My family were all musicians in terms of they either loved music or they sang. My dad sang, my sister. I grew up singing harmony, not really thinking anything about it, wanting to work for Disney. I wanted to work in animation. I was going to be in art. And anytime me and my sister said, we want to do the Star Search, we want to go do the auditions for Star Search for people who were younger than me. That was like American Idol before American Idol, right? It was a much smaller budget, and Ed McMahon, was the host. I'm totally showing my age here, but they also had regional auditions, just like American Idol does. And I remember me and my sister would want to go, and we both wanted to sing "The Greatest Love of All" by Whitney Houston, which was the song. You get up there and you belt your heart out, and my mom was like, "Nope. If you want to do this, you can do a kata," which is it's a series of movements in karate. And we were beginners. And some of the more advanced ones are really impressive, like spinning kicks and all this kind of stuff. And we were like, that was it. So we didn't really get very far in the auditions, but we waited in line. We watched all the kids. We got up there, did our kata, didn't get picked, and we went home. And what it did was it kind of we just stopped wanting to do it. Because would you want to keep doing that? And so we kind of just let that go. And I really feel like it was one of the biggest gifts that my mom gave me was that I didn't connect singing with applause. I just kept it as something that was a joy in my life. And then when I wanted to sing more, she said, all right, you can go into choir. So she put me in a choir. So yeah, we got applauded, but we got applauded as a group, as a community. I never got solos. The only solo I got was "I Can't Carry a Tune in a Bucket." That was literally the song. I was like, are you trying to tell me something? It was hilarious. But it was this idea of we're making music together and the audience is coming to see us do this thing all together. And I think it was such an amazing thing. And meanwhile, I'm planning to work for Disney and draw the next Aladdin and whatever. And then I just had this experience of going to governor's school in North Carolina, which was a publicly funded thing, and for 6 weeks just doing choir camp basically, and I found my tribe. People going, I'm going to be a singer when I get out of here, and I was like, a professional singer? You can do that? I never thought about it, other than sort of the pop world. And I discovered opera. And the thing about it is that I didn't know anything about opera. I just knew they sang all the time. And I got a couple of CDs, and I got into Oberlin, and I went off to conservatory and completely fell in love with classical music, Western classical music. And the thing is that I was just there purely because I wanted to make music. I wasn't thinking about I want to go sing at the Met. I didn't even know what the Met was when I went to Oberlin. I was just this is so cool. You put on a costume and you get to act out somebody and you sing all the time. Sounds like bliss. Sign me up. And so I'm there and I'm realizing that there's a lot more to it, right? There's a lot more to it. So I got through Oberlin. And the thing is the process that I realized getting through that, it was one of the hardest lessons that I had, but it was one of the best lessons that I had. And I think that's one of the really most valuable things that you can get in an intense education like this is learning how to learn. Learning how to learn and learning how to trust yourself. When I showed up to Oberlin, I didn't know how to read music. And I went to my voice teacher, gave me all this music. Here, learn all of these art songs. I didn't even know what an art song was, really. And I'm taking the stuff in, I take it to the piano, and I'm ding, C, okay, that's a C, every good boy does, okay, that's a D. I couldn't learn the music. So I went back to her, and I just started crying. She was like, what's going on? I was like, I can't learn the music. So my teacher had two choices. She could have said, oh well, that's your problem, you'll figure it out. Or she could do what she did, which was she recorded all of my parts onto a tape, back when we had tapes. She recorded all my parts onto a tape, and she said, here, until you learn how to use the library, read music or whatever, this is how you learn your music. That was an act of love. That was an act of love. And I didn't know it then, I know it now. And that she could have destroyed my career in that one moment. She wasn't thinking of that, she was just being a good teacher and she was acting out of love. But if she had shamed me at that point, I wouldn't be standing here today. So I think about the people that are on our paths to finding ourselves. She was one of those people. You know, she gave me the tool. When I didn't have the tool, she gave me the tool until I had it myself. She gave me the tool to help me find myself. And she's supported me until this day. You know, even though I don't sing at the Met, I do other things, but she has supported me, and it started in that moment of, okay, you need to learn a little bit differently, so I'm gonna help you do that. And so, you know, I was able to get through Oberlin. I loved it, absolutely loved it, but then this is where it comes to understanding ourselves. I graduated and I did main roles, and I was sitting there going, what can I do in this art form that's gonna make the world a better place? What can I do that 20 million other sopranos, because there's a lot of us, can't do as well as me or way better? And I felt a hole here. I remember it like it was clear as day. I was still confused as to, do I keep trying to find my purpose here? Or do I keep trying to audition? And I just kind of went, I don't really know. Let me go home. And so I went home. And I figured out that I needed to take a break, you know? And there's nothing wrong with taking a break. I did a year of graduate school at UNCG, and I was just like, I just don't know. I don't know what I need to do. I sent off audition tapes, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I took a desk job. I took a desk job. So sometimes you don't know exactly what your goal is, and that's okay. But you have to be patient with yourself to find it. And so I was lucky enough to have other skills where I could, you know, earn whatever I needed to earn, but I was figuring out my process and figuring out myself. So that the self kind of has to come, it doesn't have to come first, you can do it at the same time, but your process sharpens when you figure out yourself. And so I'm thinking about the education that I got at Oberlin and how I pulled that into just being at home and figuring out what I was going to do. Martin Luther King says, the function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. So it's like, I had all of this stuff from Oberlin. I was not doing what I was supposed to be doing with it, but it didn't mean that I didn't get a lot from there. And I've eventually used all of the things that I got at Oberlin, but at that moment I was like, oh, I have a degree in opera, and that and like $350 is gonna buy me a cup of coffee. Like, what am I gonna do, you know? I felt like a failure. And it was in that moment of feeling like a failure that I had to let go. I had to let go. I was like, I could do this, I could do that. I was interested in Celtic music, I was interested in blah, 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 blah. And I just went, you know what? I don't know best. I don't know best. So I have to let go. And I think that's one of the hardest things for us as artists, because as a creative person, our ego and who we are is so wrapped up in the art that we create that we sometimes think that we know best. But we never know best. We only know some things. And for me, I had to release and go, you know what? I want to do the thing that's the best thing to do. Not what I think is the best thing, but what is the best thing. And as soon as I released that, as soon as I stopped stressing about it, the next chapter opened up. And this is the thing for me, is that my journey as an artist, and I feel like everybody's journey as an artist, is finding the path through your self-realization. How does that reflect in your process? And then what does that mean for the world at large? And that the connecting those dots for me has been everything. So I discover that there is something for me to do that doesn't have anything to do with opera. And I discovered the banjo. And I discovered that by going and having fun at a contra dance and, you know, figuring out that folk dance was a thing for me, but then I heard the banjo, and then I found out that the banjo is an African-American instrument, and everything changed for me. And that hole that I had felt at Oberlin filled up. And I went, oh, this is something I can make a difference doing. I can learn about the banjo, I can learn how to play the banjo, I can proselytize about the banjo, which I do to this day. You know, I didn't know exactly how I was going to, and that was, you know, it was like a crossroads for me. And when you get old enough, you look back and you go, that was a crossroads, that was a crossroads. That was the thing that made everything change. And the thing is like, when you look at the music career, I'm going back to like when my mom said, no, you can do a kata, knowing what was going to happen. And also something else that she said, which was, never do anything for money, property, or prestige. Never do anything for money, property, or prestige. What are you doing it for? So when you think about, when I was thinking about my operatic career, was I trying to be an opera singer because I just wanted to sing in a costume, because I wanted to make money, because I wanted to sing at the Met, because I wanted to be a famous singer? I couldn't answer that question, and that's why it didn't work for me. I didn't know what my function was in that music. As soon as I found the banjo, I knew what my function was. As soon as I found my mentor, Joe Thompson, 86-year-old African-American fiddler, I knew, because there was meaning to my music. There was meaning to my craft. There was meaning to my process. The meaning was, I need to tell this man's story. I need to tell this instrument's story, because this instrument tells the story of America, and we need to come together, right? We need not to be divided. That's what art is for. And there are people who are opera singers who bring people together because they have a story to tell through their art. It wasn't my direction, right? So I found the banjo, and I found Joe. And the idea of letting go of the ego and letting go of the self. There's another quote by Dr. Martin Luther King that I love. An individual has not started living until he can rise upon the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity. And I believe in this wholly. He also says life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? So it brings us to, what are we doing with our art? What are we doing with our art? Are we doing things for the applause? Are we doing things for the prestige of standing on Carnegie Hall stage? Are we doing things for the adoration of others? We have this weird kind of thing where we put musicians and artists and dancers and entertainers up on this pedestal, and we go, whoa. If I hear one more thing about Bob Dylan, I'm going to puke. I mean, you know, the man's a great songwriter, but there's the mythos around him that is way beyond what should be surrounding anybody, including Gandhi, right? Everybody has flaws. Everybody has humanity. Everybody has, you know, this thing that makes them just like us. And we are no different. Creators are no different. We just happen to be tapped into this larger thing that we've sucked out of our daily lives, right? Making art should be something that everybody gets to do. Everybody gets to do. But what we've done is we've compartmentalized it and we've commodified it. And so some people get degrees and have, you know, the opportunity to make art, and then other people get to sit and absorb it. Now, there's always going to be a case for that, because there's always going to be some people who really just want to spend their time making music. And some people just don't, and they want to listen, and that's fine. But I think the dichotomy is too wide. You know, we need to make less art, and they need to make more art, I think. But anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. It's one of my pet peeves. Tangents, and also this idea that, you know, I teach workshops where people come up to me and go, well, I'm not a singer. I'm like, yes, you are. We're all singers. We're all dancers. We're all artists. We're all painters. We're all these things. It's just some of us make money doing it and some of us don't. But it doesn't mean we're better than them. I don't think. We just have some skills that they don't have, and they're going to pay to see those skills. Fine. It's their money. I'll take it. I don't give it back, you know? But there's this idea. Anyway, so the notion of removing yourself, removing your ego, for me, was really encapsulated with meeting Joe Thompson, because he was a community musician, which meant that he grew up playing for his community. And he earned money doing it, or he was compensated, but he had a full-time job, and he played fiddle, and his brother played banjo for the community dances. And that's the way it was for so many people. Music and dance was a part of the community. It wasn't separate. It was all together. And his humility and his gratefulness for people who wanted to come learn his music, and his excitement at being able to travel the world playing that music. Like he said, when he went to Australia, he arrived before he left. He was so taken with that, And that was the beginning of my real career. That was on a basis that was really amazing that I got at Oberlin, What I'm saying is that you have to find your meaning. You have to find first yourself, You have to find your process. My process is I want to learn everything. And when I want to learn it, I dig deep. I go deep. I go find the people who know it the best, and I go, please teach me. And I'm going to suck at it for a while, but just give me some time, and I'll be not spectacular, but good enough, until it has been absorbed into what I do as a musician and as an artist. So you have process. You have to figure out what is your process. And then you have to figure out what is your connection to this larger thing. Because without those three things, I feel like when I didn't have all three of them, I felt lost. When I didn't have myself, I was looking too much to others to tell me what I was supposed to do. Oh, you're really good at this. You should do that. Okay. You're really good at this. You do. Okay. But what it matters is what I want to do. And it changes. Sometimes you don't find it immediately. You have to have patience with yourself. But it should be a goal. Find out what your process is. And then find out what is your connection to, I like to call it the infinite, to the community. What is your thing that you do that nobody else does? That nobody else does. And who are the people who can help you do that? Who are the people who see you as you and not as a means to an end or a road to money or whatever? But they see you for you, and they want you to succeed because they feel like you have something that's special, and that is here for the world. So this is what I always say when people ask me for advice. My career is crazy. You can't have my career. I can't have your career. Nobody wants my career. It's nuts, right? I'm going slightly demented. But I'm so grateful for it because I've been able to have a career on my terms. When I finally got to stand on the stage of the Met, right? Finally got to stand on the stage of the Met. Why was I standing on the stage of the Met? Was it as a Aida? No. It's because I was doing a podcast about opera with the Met. And I got to stand on the stage and look out. And I was like, I never specified exactly how I was going to stand here. And I was like, isn't that cool? I'm not singing on the stage of the LA Opera, but my opera is being sung on the stage of the LA Opera, right? So it's not about the trappings, it's about the core. It's about the core, and then the trappings will fall as they may, So the idea of going back to that, not for money, property, or prestige, but just for the animus of it, the soul of it, whatever it is that speaks to you, and then the money comes. I know it's hard to believe, but it's true. I'm a banjo player. You know what I mean? And I'm able to do the things that I do because I always focus on what is the core of the thing, Would you give a speech about, Black people and country music or bluegrass for the Bluegrass Association? Never given a speech before. Well, I know a lot about that. So yeah, I'll give that speech because it needs to be given. I didn't ask for any money. And then I start getting, will you come give a speech for me? Will you come give a speech? Here's some money. What? Because it was I'm always saying, follow the pureness of it. Also be smart. I've gotten gigs where I'm like, well, I should take that because I need to pay my bills. There are these moments of reality, but overall, focus on the good, focus on the core, be kind, be kind to yourself first, and then you can be kind to other people. Be empathetic. That's the other thing about the song I did at the top. Thinking about how things come around again and again and again. They come around again and again and again. And I don't even know how much time I've been speaking. I'm kind of free-forming this because, what time is it now? When did I start? I have no idea. Okay, so I need to wrap it up. So the reason that I didn't compose this speech is because I was too busy doing things here, and I was, having potentially other projects and getting really excited and meeting new people, and I was being an artist, in other words. So I wanted to be honest with you and say, these are the things that I feel like are important as an artist, and what I think that the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King was all about: honesty, goodness, kindness, truth, injustice, fighting injustice, all of those things which we can only do if we know ourselves. We can only know if we know our process. We can only do if we know where we fit in the world, even though it's an ever-changing thing, But you've always got to want the arc. You always got to want the arc. And I'm just going to leave you before. I'd love to do a song for you before the Q&A, if that's okay. That's all right. I just want to leave you before we do that with the thought that my mom is a very smart person. She's still alive. She is a smart person. And I remember her telling me that we are too small to imagine what could be ahead for us. We're too small, right? There's this larger, whatever you want to call it. If you're religious, if you're spiritual, if you're creative, you know that it's there. We have to release our preconceived notions of what our lives can be to find the fullness of what they will be, And the more that we can do that, the more we can open our eyes and be aware of when those opportunities come. They come from the left, they come from the right. When we're looking straight ahead, they're over here and they're back here. And if we're open to them, then they will lead us to, places that we couldn't imagine. So we have to open ourselves up to the fact that we know nothing. And life is the process of learning how much we don't know. And isn't that exciting? Isn't that exciting? That day when I realized I don't know nothing was the best day of my life, because the responsibility just rolled off. Like the expectations just rolled off. I was like, oh, I'm just going to be learning until the end. Got it. Awesome, So that's just what I want to leave you with. It's just this idea of finding your place, realizing that it's going to be a journey, but there's a special thing that everyone is here to do. And the world is better the more we realize that. The more that we realize how special we are and how not special we are at the same time. You know what I mean? So I'd like to do a song that I wrote on the banjo. And this is talking about when we meet people and we don't expect things, and then things happen that are really beautiful. This is a song that I wrote on the banjo. It's probably my most well-known song. It's called At the Purchaser's Option, and it was written after looking at an ad that was for an enslaved woman who was for sale. There's a lot I'm not going to get into about that, but it's talking about the idea of how do you retain your humanity when you're in bondage? How do you retain your desire to wake up the next day, to open your eyes and decide to get up and go about your business? Like, how do you, and so I had written this song on the banjo, and then I met Francesco, and we were working on a project with the Nashville Ballet. And this is not a thing that's over, right? Enslaved people, people in bondage, it's not over, it's not past. There's people all over the world. They have their passports taken as they go into a different country and they can't leave anymore. And this is happening today. And that idea of the cycles of life and how to transform something when you work with somebody else. And Francesco's just started playing the piano, and it was just like brought out a whole nother side of the song. So I just want to leave you with that, and then we'll have a Q&A. And I'm sorry if I'm going over, but yeah, so we're going to do that. Yeah, I'm going to come over there, and we're going to do that. So thank you so much. I've got a babe, but shall I keep him? 'Twill come the day when I'll be weeping, but how can I love him any less? This little babe upon my breast. Take my body, you can take my bones, take my blood, but not my soul. Take my body, you can take my bones, take my blood, but not my soul. I've got a body dark and strong. I was young, but not for long. Took me to bed, a little girl. Left me in a woman's world. Take my body, you can take my bones, take my blood, but not my soul. Take my body, you can take my bones, take my blood, but not my soul. Day I work the line, every minute overtime. Fingers nimble, fingers quick. My fingers bleed to make you rich. Take my body, you can take my bones, take my blood, but not my soul. Take my body, you can take my bones, take my blood, but not my soul. Take my body, you can take my bones, take my blood, but not my soul. Take my body, take my bones, take my blood, but not my soul.
you.